Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're diving headfirst into the underworld. Du-Yoon, aka the Goblin, wasn't just a name, it was a death sentence whispered in the shadows. This guy was the apex predator of Korea's deadliest crime ring. Police, terrified. Every hit was a masterpiece of carnage, leaving zero witnesses, poof, vanished. But here's the kicker. Behind the Goblin's mask, he was a family man, daddy to a little girl he adored. Talk about a double life. Sadly, this domestic bliss came at a steep price. His wife, haunted by his bloody profession, pleaded with him to hang up his hat. But the Goblin was addicted to the thrill, and the family began to disintegrate. Ultimately, she bans him from seeing his daughter, and his skin carried the stink of. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this story is about to explode. It starts with heartbreak, backquote death, she said, backquote ouch. Stolen moments of love in the dead of night, seriously twisted. Next up, a hit. Our guy Du-Yoon jumps in, tag teaming with newbie Young Min who's clearly in over his head. Bullets fly, Young Min folds, and Du-Yoon goes berserk. One-man army, taking out everyone in a symphony of chaos. But the cops, they're not dummies. This massacre screams professional, points to two, but the real damage? All Goblin. A legend. And the cops? They're bringing the whole damn house down, going after Goblin and his entire crew. Oh, but the drama. Little did they suspect, a rat was already in the house, a sneaky mole whispering secrets. As the pressure cooker boiled over, Dawn was playing hide and seek in a safe house, patching up Young Min from their bungled mission. But hold on, recovery's on hold. Young Min's daughter's in the ICU, heart-stopping moment. She's okay, but the sigh of relief? Fleeting. Medical bills are like a punch in the gut. New to the game, Young Min's got nada, no contacts, no cash, no lifeline. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, bam. All hitmen, report to HQ, stat. Young Min walks in on a scene straight out of a horror film. Beck's son, the ice-veined boss, is putting the screws to a guy accused of snitching to the cops. Denials? Ignored. Beck's son snatches the guy's phone, dials the last number, and boom, a voice answers, Detective Joy. Case closed. Judgment delivered. Beck's son shoves a knife in Young Min's hand, his initiation is gonna be bloody. Traitor. But Young Min couldn't do it. He stood frozen, shaken, and terrified, unable to carry out the execution. Seconds dragged on. Then Dawn stepped forward, calm, efficient, emotionless. He took the blade and finished the job. No words, just silence. And then he walked away, leaving Young Min stunned. In that moment, the truth became clear. This wasn't just a man. This was a myth forged in blood and silence. A ghost with a name that haunted the underworld. Word of the informant's death soon reached Detective Choi. He rushed to the mole's apartment, searching for any lead. Inside, he found it. A coded message scrolled on a calendar. It pointed to a hidden base, a furniture store called Sangami. Meanwhile, Young Min was falling apart. His daughter's hospital bills were still unpaid. With nowhere else to turn, he begged Beck's son for another job. He didn't care what it was. He needed the money. He would do. Hold on to your hats, folks, because things are about to get wild. Beckon, laser-focused, sets his sights on Hai Kong, not just some low-level thug, but a syndicate heavyweight and Dun's old mentor. Ouch, talk about personal. Young Min, he's on it, despite the name giving him pause. Flash forward, apartment invasion, knife-wielding showdown. Hai Kong knows what's up, doesn't even blink. But whoa, this rookie's got skills. He's taking down the giant. Bam, major kill unlocked. But the celebration? A total rip-off. Small change, empty words? Min demands his dues, and Beck's son goes ballistic. Snap. Min loses it. Gut stab, cash grab, and he's out of there. And guess who's coming next? Beck. Son, bleeding and barely breathing, looked up as June walked in. No words were needed. They both knew the end had come. With his last breath, Beck's son named the man who betrayed him, hoping Goblin would finish the job. But Don-Yoon's luck ran out that day. Minutes after Beck's son collapsed, Detective Choi stormed in with his gun raised. Alone in the room, June became the prime suspect. He didn't IU. He had no proof, no witnesses, nothing to clear his name. With no fight left, he surrendered and let Choi take him in. As the handcuffs clicked shut, his thoughts turned to the family he could no longer protect. The court gave him 10 years. 2 years in, a letter arrived. It was from his wife. She was leaving. She was taking their daughter far away. She didn't want anyone to know her child was the daughter of a killer. From now on, she would tell the girl her father had died. Even if he walked free someday, she made one thing clear. he was not too. Whoa, crushed. That's exactly what those words did to Don Yoon. He went totally Mia, zero chatter, zero dreams. Zilch. Even Young Min, his boy, got the cold shoulder. Can you believe the drama? Eventually, Young Min bailed on the visits, but plot twist, he wasn't gone. Instead, he went full gangster. Built a crew, revived old pals, and started ruling the streets with an iron fist. Ruthless assassinations and takedowns? Check. The cops were all like, the goblins back? And guess what? Young Min loved it. Dude was living in the original goblin's shadow on purpose. Fast forward 10 years, Don Yoon's out, older, quieter, and washing cars to go straight. But wait for it, his daughter, Yana, is in a school nearby. Oh, fate, you sneaky little devil. Get ready for some fireworks. Alright, buckle up, because this is where things get wild. Backquote. So, Young Min's daughter, Enju, same school, talk about awkward family reunions. Backquote, but get this, polar opposites. Enju, total mean girl, queen bee, the works. Then there's Yana, calm, collected, and not afraid to throw down for the underdog. Backquote, when Enju starts her reign of terror, Yana steps in. Backquote, boom. Backquote, instant rivalry. Backquote, meanwhile, Daddy Dearest, Young Min. Backquote, kingpin of the criminal underworld. Backquote, but at home. Backquote, epic fail. Backquote, total stranger to his daughter. One pathetic attempt at family dinner later, and Enju slammed the door shut on Daddy Dearest, poor guy. Backquote, while Young Min's swimming in power, we've got Dune, living the humble life, scrubbing cars and dreaming of his lost wife and daughter. Heartbreaking, right? Backquote, so, desperate for answers, he hits up Detective Choi. Backquote, find my family, he pleads. Choi agrees, but of course, there's a catch. Backquote, done doin'. Hold on to your hats, folks. Get this, sneaky old Young Min wanted some juicy dirt dug up, and guess who he tapped? Our boy, Do Yoon. But bam, Do Yoon slams the door shut. Past, history, he's scrubbed clean of crime and blood, even for his old crew. Fast forward, he's Mr. Suds at the car wash, where his boss, Hawkang, is all sunshine and rainbows, until the booze kicks in. Oh, one drunken night, Hawkang goes full Hulk, thinking Dune's taking the mickey. Fists fly, chaos erupts, and the cops roll up. But here's the kicker, Detective Choi expects a war zone, but finds peace. Dune's chilling, inviting Hawkang for grub. The ex-killer's all patience and forgiveness. Choi's jaw drops. He sees the real change in Dune. And in a total mic drop moment, Choi decides to help. No hidden agendas, just pure, unadulterated goodwill. He visits Do Yoon. Boom. Alright, buckle up, because this is where it gets wild. Don Yoon finally gets Jiang's address, his ex, running a hair salon no less. So, naturally, he stakes out the place like a total creeper. Unbeknownst to him, his own daughter, is watching him, thinking he's just some weirdo eyeing her mom's business. Awkward. He bolts, clueless, leaving Ya totally bewildered. But wait, there's more. Drunk dude shows up, harasses Ya, and Don Yoon, like a superhero emerging from the shadows, jumps in to defend her. Bam! Ji Young rushes out and sees Don between her daughter and danger. She pleads with him to leave like she doesn't know him. Talk about a tangled web. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this is where the drama really ignites. Ya's spidey senses are tingling. That voice? Way too cozy with mom. She's giving Jiang the stink eye, demanding answers. Mom's all, oh, just an old friend, but Ya's not buying it. She's actually grateful Dunn intervened, and invites him for a dinner party from hell. The tension could be cut with a knife. Then, bam, Ya drops the bomb. Do you, like my mother? Jiang makes a hasty exit, but the tables have turned. Ya's crushing on her protector and secretly gives him her number. Meanwhile, Jiang isn't pleased with this development and wants to end it all. But Ya has no idea that she has been set up. Things are about to get explosive as she will discover her mother's secret. Buckle up, folks, because this is where things get wild. Our leading lady thought she'd escaped the drama, new country, fresh start, nada. But boom, ex-lover alert. He's back, and mama ain't happy. She's laying down the law, stay away. But wait, there's a twist. Dad's got one last surprise for his daughter. He's near her school, ready for a reunion. But conscience kicks in. Should he stay or should he go? He chooses to leave and bam. Car accident. Yayan witnesses everything. OMG. Arm was cut, bleeding. Without delay, she ordered the driver to take him to the hospital. What she didn't know was that the man behind the wheel worked for Anju, the school bully. After the doctors patched Dawn up, the driver calmly offered his business card, promising to stay in touch just in case. Later that day, Dune walked Ya home. While they waited at the bus stop, she encouraged him to try again with Jai Young. She revealed something he didn't expect. Her mother was often lonely, crying in secret when no one was around. Yana believed someone reliable like Don Yoon could bring happiness back into her life. Dune didn't say much. Instead, he handed her the wristwatch. She smiled, accepted it, and gave him a hug. The next morning, Ya proudly wore the watch at breakfast. Jiang noticed immediately. She knew where it came from, and she wasn't happy. She told her daughter to take it off. Yana refused. The argument escalated until Yana stormed off, frustrated. Her parting words hit deep. She just wanted her mother to let her be happy. The moment stuck with Jiang. Later, she invited Dun to her salon. While cutting his hair, they talked privately. At last, she agreed to give him another chance. But she was clear, if he wanted to be part of their lives again, he couldn't fail Yayan a second time. Meanwhile, across town, Youngmi found out about the accident involving Anju's driver. He asked for the victim's name and took a look at the business card. What he saw stunned him. Dune. The man he once called a brother was back. The moment Youngmin learned that Dun was out of prison, he grew uneasy. He grew afraid at the possibility of his former partner returning. The fear of Don Yoon seeking revenge overwhelmed him. Soon he began to hallucinate, seeing Do Yoon holding a knife, ready to attack. His paranoia took over. Unable to shake it, he ordered his men to monitor Do Yoon around the clock. But not everyone followed the plan. Dompi, one of his men, didn't like the assignment. He saw Don Yoon as washed up and not worth the trouble. Worse, he knew the two had history. Paranoid himself, Dompal believed Youngmin might be planning to bring Do Yoon back into the fold. That scared him. If it happened, Dompal feared he'd lose his place in the organization. Oh face, so he took matters into his own hands. Instead of watching from a distance, Dompi attacked. He ambushed Dune and his co-workers, even threatening him to stay away from Youngmin. He made it clear there would be no comeback. On the other hand, Youngmin was furious. His orders had been ignored. He had never told them to attack. As punishment, he personally beat Dompi and made sure the rest of his crew got the message. Do Yoon recovered after a few days in the hospital. Stitched up but steady, he went back to work. From that point on, Youngmin's men kept their distance. They still followed him, but they didn't dare touch him again. From that day, Youngmin kept a close eye on Dune, even ordering photos of his daily routine. But all the images showed the same thing. Do Yoon quietly working at the car wash. No weapons, no threats, just soap, water, and silence. It made Youngmin even more uneasy. He couldn't tell if Don Yoon had truly changed or if trouble was just waiting to happen. Then everything changed. At school, Anu was at it again, bullying a classmate. As always, Yayan stepped in to stop her. But this time, Anu snapped. Tired of being challenged, she shoved Ya hard. Too hard. The blow sent Yana flying into a metal pole. She collapsed, blood streaking down the cold steel behind her. After the incident, the school called the families. Youngmin came for Anju while Don Yoon and Ji Yang rushed to the hospital for Yana. At the school, the principal confronted Youngmi about the serious consequences his daughter now faced. But Youngmi wasn't there to negotiate. He threatened her, warning that if Anu was punished, her own children would pay the price. The message was clear. The principal backed down, terrified. At the hospital, doctors worked quickly. Yan needed surgery, but the operation was a success. Do-hee and Jeong were relieved, but that wasn't enough. Do-hee wanted justice. He filed a police report. The response crushed him. The police dismissed the case. One officer even suggested he take a payoff from the bully's family lawyer. Do-hee didn't say a word. He turned, walked out, and refused to shake the lawyer's hand. His silence said everything. Crushed by the system's failure, Do-yoon returned to the hospital, determined to stay by Ya's side. While there, one of her classmates, another victim of Anju's bullying, came to visit. She quietly told him the truth. It was Anu who hurt Ya. But no one at school was talking. Can you believe this? After that whole incident, everyone clammed up. But Do-yoon, oh, he's not having it. Armed with a tip, he storms right to the principal demanding answers from Anju. But bam! Principal throws up a policy brick wall, completely shielding Anju. So Do-yoon gets smart. He waits outside, ready to ask Anju face to face. But oh no, Young Min's goons pounce. They were lurking, waiting for their moment, and they lay a beat down on Doyun, just a taste, mind you. Then, get this, they escort Anju home like she's royalty. But the backstabbing doesn't stop there. They twist the whole thing to Young Min, claiming Doyun tried to kidnap Anju. And Young Min? He eats it up hook, line, and sinker. To protect his daughter, snapped. From that moment on, Doyun was no longer just a ghost from the past. He was now a target. Young Min didn't strike right away. He crafted a trap. 2 teams, one sent to grab Dun at a motel, the other to kidnap Ji Yang and Yana from the hospital. His goal was simple, use Dun's family as leverage to force him into surrendering. But the plan fell apart fast. When Do-yoon realized his family had been taken, something inside him snapped. The calm, quiet man vanished. The killer returned. In seconds, he wiped out the ambush team. No hesitation, no mercy. Blood soaked his face and cloth. The goblin was back. Hearing the attack had failed, Young Min changed tactics. Hold on to your hats, folks, because things are about to get wild. Our guy, colder than a polar bear's toenails, sends Ya straight to a dusty old furniture factory, the gang's former stomping ground. He's got a date with Destiny and Di-yoon, and this time, it's personal. But boom, Dawn arrives at the hospital too late. Jae yawns down, and Yao's gone. Do-hee's there for support, but he knows he has to go after their daughter. Buckle up, because Do-hee's about to unleash his inner beast, the underworld's most feared predator, and he ain't messing around. He snatches Anju right off the street, and makes the call, Anju for Yayan, a trade. But done. Young Min's too smart for that. No deal, just a whole lot of lead flying through the air. But Dawn's been playing this game for too long. He turns the tables on the ambushes. Bam! It's a massacre. He squeezed Gain's location out of the last man standing. No time to lose. Dawn drops Anju off with Haikung, the car wash kingpin, laying out his plan. Then he gave one simple order. Deliver the girl to a specific place at a specific time. After that, Don-yoon headed straight to the old furniture factory. Inside, Young Min and his men were waiting. The tension cracked like glass. Each demanded the return of their daughter, but neither budged. It was clear this would end in blood. Still avoiding direct confrontation, Young Min sent Dongpal and 2 others to handle the job. Meanwhile, he searched Don-yoon's car, expecting to find Anju. But the back seat was empty. The plan had already slipped from his control. Back inside, the factory turned into a war zone. Dune fought off all 3 attackers, but not without a price. 2 deep stab wounds, and the real fight hadn't even started. Then came the showdown. Despite his injuries, Dune overwhelmed Young Mi. He could have ended it more than once, but didn't. He still needed Young Mi alive. Yana's life depended on it. After a brutal exchange of punches and blades, both men dropped from sheer exhaustion. On the floor, bloodied and broken, Young Min gave in. He fell to his knees, bowed his head, and begged to know where Anu was. Do-yoon didn't speak. He simply gave a signal. Seconds later, the doors opened. Anju stepped inside, escorted by Hung. The plan had worked. Do-yoon had arranged it all before the fight even began. Young Min, overwhelmed and shaken, finally revealed Ya's location, locked in a closet at the back of the factory. She was alive but unconscious. Help arrived soon after. The police in an ambulance called by Kong flooded the scene. As Yana was loaded into the ambulance, Don watched in silence. He allowed himself a faint smile. She was safe. That was enough. Then he collapsed. Whether he lost consciousness or something more was left unclear. The film closes with a flashback. Do-yoon and Young Min in their prime side by side after a completed mission. Don-yoon reaches out pulling his injured partner,